Well, boys and girls, we have a lovely new replica on the bench today. This is the Maruyama SCW-9, blah, blah, blah. Call it whatever you want. It's a B&T APC9. I think this is the Pro G version, so that just means it's the better version of the SMG, and it's the lower that takes Glock magazines. Never heard of this company before. New brand. It says here designed in Japan, made in Taiwan. Or Taiwan, however you want to say it. Simple brown box here. Flip it open. Got the replica. We've got a box here with some bits in. And we've also got a suppressor which comes with it. So we won't waste any time. We'll get this thing unpacked. Take the suppressor out as well, we'll talk about that. And this will be the magazine. And yeah, just a little Allen key there for the hop. So we'll put this away and get it off the bench, out of the way, out of the shop. So nice box, minimalistic, good packaging inside. Enough said. Let's put it to one side. Here is the SCW-9. So for all intensive purposes, if you're looking for this on the internet, you're trying to find it in shops, it's the Maruyama SCW-9. That is what you search for. I'm not going to refer to it like that again in this video. So this is the APC9-K Pro G, I think it is, a bit of a mouthful there. All black. Let's get the boring stuff out the way first. We've got a metal upper, we've got a polymer lower, polymer grip, metal stock parts. I think that's polymer on the rear as well. It could be metal, not too sure. If it is metal, it's light. We've got plastic rail segments on here for mounting your accessories. We've got a tri-lug barrel, which perfectly marries up with the suppressor that comes with it. And all the controls are ambidextrous, and it takes a Glock magazine. So there's all the boring specs out the way. Now, if you have been following me for some time, you'll know that I covered the Aries, or the aerodynamic arms, APC9-K, which had the, you know, the Brugger and Thomic sort of MP9 style magazines. It was a great little replica. It was an AEG, batch wear in the top. It functioned. It was the EFCS system. It worked pretty damn well. It was fairly solid. I really liked it. But then as soon as it came out and we started stocking them down at Bespoke, ASG but just put a blanket stop to all of that. You know, they were sending out legal letters here, there and everywhere to every man and his dog that was covering them, so they kind of dried up. There's probably quite a few of them still in the UK, but no one can sell them without ASG breathing down their necks. Didn't have trades on or anything, but I think it was one of those things we didn't want to fight it. It just wasn't worth the hassle. I don't think we would have lost if it did go to court, because it had no markings on there. It was just a generic SMG, which the only problem was we were calling it an APC9. But anyway, that all out the way. You can't get those anymore really in the UK. No one really stocks them. If they do, it's probably just some old stock. If you want an AEG, be sure to go check that out. But as with all things, much better in a gas blowback. So I saw this. I think I saw it like on the Hong Kong shops, like WGC again, and you know, thought, oh, that's pretty cool. And then noticed that one of the UK suppliers had them in stock. This is not a cheap gun. If you're buying this retail from your local retailer or wherever online in the UK, it's about £400 retail price. Quite pricey. I mean, you're sort of getting into the categories of, you know, Marui MWSs and AKMs, the AKX. I think the new Marui what am I calling it now? The Saiga 12. I think that was only like another £50 on top of what this costs. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it like, you know, I see a lot of these YouTubers do. Oh, look at this, amazing, looks brilliant, blah, blah, blah. This has some issues. And just from taking it out of the box, it just, everything's rattly. So the upper and lower has play, not massively horrendous, but again, when you're controlling the thing, you can feel it rocking from to either side. It reminds me a lot of my MDR. And the stock very, very loose indeed. Now you can rip this out, much like the real one. It is tight to push out and pull out and push back. There's play in it, but honestly, I think it's from the base plate. If we lock the base plate down, let's put some force on it. Yeah, the stock is really nice and tight, so we're probably going to have to find a way to fix that again. Always seems to be me that seems to get the dodgy guns, but ambidextrous. We've got charging handles on both sides. We've got safe, semi, and full auto. There's no markings on it, of course. This is not a licensed product. The trigger, from my first impression, is actually really good. So there's no take up. It's right there. The brake. It's a very short pull, and the reset is even better. If you're on the reset, it's really nice, really nice. They've done a good job. We can lock the bolts of rear by pushing up the bolt release. What I will say is this is also a really flimsy bit of plastic. So, you know, it wasn't really filling me with high hopes taking this thing out the box. I mean, the play in the receiver, if it was solid, if this was solid and it didn't move, honestly, I would be, you know, a grin from ear to ear right now, but unfortunately I'm not. So there we go. Mag release. The right hand side, when you, let's say you position yourself in a firing position, it is quite hard to push. It is getting easier the more I do it, but to be honest with you, that one is just far easier. It comes with a 50 round Glock mag. I think this is a VFC mag. I have seen these with the valves on the bottom, but mine came with a valve at the top, much like the VFC ones do. There's no Glock markers, anything like that. So I'm pretty sure, I'm fairly certain VFC have probably made this. If you look at the box, like the warning labels that are in Taiwanese, would you call it? Looks very much like the sort of style as like a Umarex sticker, and the box does look very VFC-ish. So, but you know, it's neither here or there. We still get a really cool looking gun. So let's delve into this a little bit further. So we've got a 50 round mag. Let's charge it with a bit of gas. So we've got some. This is the first time it's being used, so I'm going to vent it just to get rid of the air, the atmosphere that's in there. And then usually that will allow you to put a lot more liquid propellant in the magazine. So always vent your mags, guys. Let's check this is clear. Yes, it is. There's nothing in the barrel here. You do kind of, with mine at least, you do kind of have to send it home to lock it into place. It does look cool. So it's going to lock open. We're going to pop the bolt down. We're going to do semi-auto. With that trigger, the gun fires so rapid. The trigger is just, oh. Imagine making a gun where the trigger is this spot on, but they're not tidying up your QC with your parts. Just make them tighter, you know. Oh, that is so... You know, full auto. Nice steady spurt there. Honestly, the trigger is so damn good. Let's take this thing apart. And we'll get into a bit more detail of this. So we've got two pins. The front one, the back one even, and the front. I'm going to pull those two pins out. That enables us to lift the lower off. It comes straight down. And then this, you sort of push down and it pops out. Again, another cheap part is the buffer. It's literally just a piece of plastic. It does look machined. At least the internal surface does look machined, but yeah, just put like a spring or a rubber buffer on there or something. I think if we figure out some kind of better way, maybe this was like cut down slightly and we put like a rubber buffer in there, we get a spring that's like a really tight fit in there and put the spring in there. I think the rate of fire will be nice and tasty. So we can pop the spring guide. It's a two-part spring guide, one spring, Got like a flathead style screw on the top there, and then we've got the pin which goes into the bolt. To remove the bolt, we just line it up with one of these holes, and the little stopper is going to drop out like so. Once that's dropped out, we can remove the bolt. The charging handle is non-reciprocating, so it's housed in the front there on a spring. Now that spring is nothing to write home about. I would want to put something a little bit stronger in there, but also my other niggle with it is the assembly is just loose. So, you know me guys, I'm going to say it as it is. I'm not going to suck that GBB teat and really start like, giving it all the beans. But you can see we've got some kind of restriction in there. If you're going to be able to see this, I'm going to have to block the camera out, but there's like a restrictor in the nozzle. Looks like a type of hex screw. Let's see if I've got something that will fit. Yeah, it's a hex screw. So they are filtered down. It's literally just a hex screw with a slot cut in it. So I don't know whether these are running hot, but if you've got low FPS, you can take that restrictor out. It's quite a tight restriction on that as well. So, but we'll I suppose we'll see. You can see where the impact of just a couple of shots where it's hounding. I mean, this doesn't feel like some aircraft grade aluminium here, so hitting that solid piece of plastic is something that's eventually going to give. Now the hop, you can actually adjust the hop with the gun altogether. There's a tiny little grub screw just there. You get the Allen key which comes in the box. Let's find that. Looks like a 1 or a 1.5, and it just goes in the bottom there, and we can clockwise for more, counterclockwise for less, I think. Let's have a quick look. So counterclockwise, yeah, counterclockwise for less, clockwise for more. Oh, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, sort of loosen itself off as you fire it, then happy days. So we've got a piece here held in with 2 screws, which I guess we'd have to remove to have a look at the barrel system, because I do want to have a look at that. Before I do that, let's have a look at the suppressor here. So it's tri-lug, so what that means is you'll push it on. Now this is very tight. So you push it on, if you can get it on. And I think the reason why this is tight is basically there's a couple of O-rings just inside the housing there, and because they're really dry, it's basically gripping this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to give a quick squirt of some silicone, just a tiny amount, and we'll see if that helps. Yeah, I think. Let's hope. Yeah, there we go. So I can now push it on. I mean, you don't want it horrendously loose, but it's a very simple design. There's no like lock. I mean, I'm sure we tri-lug on like the real guns. I mean, I'm only going off what I've seen. You sort of push it, turn it, and it comes up and it sort of sits in like a little notch. This doesn't, so even when it's on, that's as far as you can turn it. And if you were to rotate it slightly, which is probably why they've got the O-rings there to stop that, but it goes on like that, very quick and easy. You've got an extended barrel in here. So what I have seen is that they'll fire at whatever they do at, whatever propellant you're using. You fit these suppressors, you can get anywhere from an 80 to 100 feet per second increase, because it basically makes the inner barrel twice as long. But let's delve into this. Let's see what's going on, because I am curious. Not in that way. Let's get talky talk. Let's take 1, 2. Oh, that was a bit tighter. 3. Flip it over. Do the same on the other side. Ooh, drop the screwdriver while you do it. Now, will this come out without us taking that little notch off? I'm hoping it might. Yeah, we don't have to take that off. So you see the carrier system there. I will be fettling with this because I want that nice and tight. I'm going to change that spring so it's a bit more, you know, chunky. Here is the barrel system. Got 2 screws holding it together. 2 screws here. It always, when you've got parts like this on the front, like the feeding ramp, and it's a quick detach part, it always worries me a little bit because it's kind of like, you know, are they doing that because it's a high wear part? You know, what's going on there? So I did start filming for a bit just so I could suss this out. This thing was on there. So the problem with it is they've used a ton of Loctite, which we're going to see now. An absolute shit ton of Loctite. And it's also a reverse thread. So I was heating this up, trying to like lefty loosey it, absolutely having none of it, to the point where I thought I was going to break it. And then I just kept heating it up. I was putting the heat right in the screw hole, just with like a little jet lighter type thing, and just letting it sort of smoke out and heat the threads up. And then just decided to try it the other way. And as I was turning it the other way, it moved forward. So it's a counterclockwise thread. It looks fairly close to 14mm, to be honest. Let's see, I think that's a 14mm thread. So yeah, it's 14mm negative, so making barrels for this thing is going to be like super easy. But yeah, that's the way you do it. Heat it up, turn it the reverse thread, and it will come off. Just be careful. You're going to have to put this block in a vise. Even in a vise, it was trying to turn. It was sort of pushing the vise jaws apart, so it was on there. My only concern was like literally snapping this part off. So once you've done that, 2 screws, and then we should be able to split this thing. There's nothing else holding it on, so let's just send it. I'm going to pop something in that hole if I can, just to try and, yeah, there we go. Bit of leverage, never hurt anybody, did it? So just going to gently pry this apart, and there we go. So it's kind of weird actually. So we've got a screw which turns that, which pulls the arm down. So we'll be looking at it like this. So turn it clockwise obviously forces the arm down. Why they come up with these most extravagant ways? They literally could have put a nub in there, a hole in the top with a screw, put a hole in the rail, people would have been happy, TDC. But no. And then they fit these arms with the smallest contact patches. But at least it's off, because I'm going to be wanting to change this hot rubber for a Flamingo. I've ordered some more from Empire Airsoft. Really recommend those guys. Hit them up. So I've got some more Flamingo rubbers on the way, and I'll be chucking one in this straight away because this rubber just doesn't really feel all that great. But that's the hop system. I don't think anyone's shown it yet, so pop that back in. It's literally just a nut. As you rotate the grub screw, the nut moves up and down, which then pulls the arm, which sits in a channel. And that is as simple as that. So we'll try and put this back together. Oh, fairly simple. There we go. So yeah, if you're not a fan of the tri-lug, it's going to be really easy once you've removed that barrel, you could literally just use a barrel extension, and you could have, you know, a barrel with a 14mm counterclockwise thread. You could literally go and buy an off-the-shelf 14 counterclockwise barrel extension of the right length. I don't think I've got one here, because the one that you saw just a minute ago has a different thread on this side. It's off the PDW build kit. So yeah, you just thread it on there, so you get one this size. The barrel's going to look a bit funky because it has the attachment there to sit into the barrel extension. This just rotates on. Sorry for that loud squeal there. And they'd really done it up because that's where it stops, and they'd rotated it like another 20-30 degrees. So I'm going to leave it there just because I don't want to over tighten it, and we'll just use the grub screws to just pinch it so it doesn't come loose. But they'd really hoof down on that to get that to clock correctly. I'm not really too bothered if the try looks like a couple of degrees off. Don't bother me, because I'll probably be running this suppressor on anyway. But what I'll be doing on the suppressor is I'll be removing the inner barrel extension, because I can't imagine, I mean, I dread to think what this gun was running at for them to have to put a restrictor in the nozzle. But when I do some testing, of course, we'll find out, won't we? Let's pop this back in. Again, it was dead easy to take in and out. Screw this back together. Do I need a T20 instead of 15? Yeah. So I'm going to leave these relatively not loose, but I'm not going to torque them down, because when the hot rubber turns up, I'll be swapping it out. Six screws is all it takes. The extruded aluminium on the upper is actually not bad at all. It's actually quite nice. For how it's made, the machining doesn't look bad at all. It's just like they've gone through, again, you've gone through all this effort, and then you just haven't bothered to tighten up your tolerances. But I think what I'll be doing is actually a threaded hole there in the back of the receiver. So I think putting a grub screw in that, we could actually tighten the receiver up really easy. I wonder if that's why they've put that grub screw, or that threaded hole there. Put a grub screw in, back it out a little bit. That'll mate up with that surface. Or we just print like a little block maybe that goes in here and sort of fills the gap. Bolt in. We'll line that up with the hole in the receiver and pop the pin in. We'll make sure that that is orientated properly. Spring guide straight in. Stock. Man, if they'd nailed this, I would have been singing their praises so much. Trigger pack here. So it's not a roller, it's like a plastic buffer, which I imagine just slots in. It's held in by that pin maybe. That reset though. Absolutely bloody marvellous. The polymer, it's not too bad. The bolt release is really icky. I'm not a fan of that at all. Little springs here and there. The spring for the bolt release is just in the front there. Tiny little spring. Oh, time will tell, I suppose. Am I being nitpicky? You let me know down in the comments below. I don't think I am. My God, there it goes. Christ. On a bicycle. So yeah, all in all, pretty nice. Yeah, still wobbly. It's the stock that's wobbly the most. I think, like I say, that little hole, if they have, not sure where that's from, if they have put that little threaded hole there for that reason, to tighten up the lowers, then happy days, and we'll be doing that. The stock, however, might be a different story. It's so loose. But, you know, we're going to end this video here because we've been talking about it for a while. What we'll quickly do before we go is just see if we can take this barrel extension out. Can we push that out from this side? So barrel extension, again, it's just one of them things. Are we going to have to fit something to fill the gap? Probably. So we'll probably have to make like a tube that's open and doesn't need this barrel, which sits in between these, which springs back, which gives you the spring pressure to lock it onto the tri-lug. Although, to be honest, it's probably easier for me to make a new suppressor and a new barrel for it. Because that is a pain in the backside. We could just use a tube, to be honest. Because I don't want to be running it at silly FPS. Suppressor, go on. They've made the suppressor tight, but the receiver loose. There we go. It's like it only goes on one way. Does sound cool. Sounds cool, looks cool. Needs some white markings, but I'm sure you could solve that if you really wanted to. I like the fact that it comes with the K stock. It's, for me, the reason I bought it was because of its small size, and it would be the only reason I would have bought one of the Aries APC9s if they were still available. And just literally run it like that. Perhaps put a red dot on it. Have I got a red dot? Let's have a look. So this is all I had to hand. It's just a little MRO, probably a little bit high for something like this. But you know, you'd just slap a red dot on there. They obviously don't come with iron sights at all. And I think that's how you'd run it. You'd put a red dot on. Maybe you'd put a barrel and a hot rubber in it if you really wanted to. I mean, the things in there don't look great, but I'll definitely be putting a new barrel and hot rubber in there. If you wanted to run it short, you remove the suppressor and it's just nice and punchy. The suppressor doesn't do anything at all unless you're using it for the extending the barrel, if you want more power. For us here in the UK, power is normally an issue. So in the next video, I'll be trying out different things. We'll get this chronoed on different weights, see what the joules output, because this video is very long already. We'll test it without that restrictor in the nozzle. We'll test it with the barrel and we'll see what kind of results we get from this thing. I really like it. For the collectors out there, you're going to absolutely love it, adding this into collection. If you are out there looking for literally a dedicated gas blowback SMG, at the moment I'd probably look elsewhere. This is very expensive for what it is. There are many other options out there on the market. Long-standing options like, you know, for instance, KWA MP9, nice solid performer out the box, and probably like about half the price, which is why, you know, if you're a collector, you're probably going to appreciate this a little bit more. It would have been nice for them to have proper, you know, Brugger and Thomet MP9 style magazines. I know Archwick was teasing one that they were working on, and I'm sure it had like a CNC bolt in there. I have seen some parts already made available for this, so, you know, maybe we'll pimp it up a little bit, who knows. We'll see how the performance goes. I don't have great history with VFC gas blowbacks. They always tend to just be a little bit meh. But we'll persevere with this one. It seems to be okay running on the Glock mag. I know people do love VFC M4s and some of the SMGs that they do, but I've just never had good luck with them, especially when I'm running Tokyo Maruyas. Everything coming in compared to that just gets, obviously compared to that. My AKM is just an absolute game changer for gas blowback rifles. To be honest, I can see myself using that more now than my MWS M4s, just because of how good it is. But, you know, I'm going to keep this. We'll see how we get on with it. We'll do some chrono tests, see out what the range and accuracy is like. At the end of the day, we can always sell it, you know, second-hand, brand new, you know, one owner, never fired. But let me know down in the comments what you think of this. It is pretty cool. It takes Glock mags. If you have got a lot of VFC Glock mags lying around, then they're going to go straight into this. It uses a VFC Glock magazine system for the routers and the shape of the magazine. You know, you'd be carrying this in a game. You can run the short mags, which makes it really nice and dinky. Pull the stock out when you're ready and just go to town. So thanks for tuning in this really unnecessarily lengthy video, but I'm discovering this the same time as you guys are, and if there's anything you want to see particular on this platform, let me know down in the comments below. I'll be doing some testing, which will be on video next, but we'll cut it there because it's getting really long. So as always, from me and Bench, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.